Zlurpcast!
This is episode 8. Some people know episode 8 as The Last Jedi. We know episode 8 as Star Wars Legion. By the way, I called it Legions a couple times. Biron, you're above me?
Yep.
I called it Legions. And that's like if your mom says go to Best Buys, or if you're in the Chicagoland area, you say go to Jewel's.
Jewel's.
Then I like, oh, it's Legion. I sound like an idiot.
Play on your Nintendos.
Nintendos. Looks like a phenomenal game. This is Fantasy Flight taking the crazy success they've had over the years with the Star Wars license. From card games to Imperial Assault, board games / like dungeon crawl, sci-fi, to the dice game is them too, right? And obviously X-Wing. They've had like crazy amounts of success. I would say that we talked about on our designing your own game episode, certain gateway things to Kickstarter. I will say Fantasy Flight with the Star Wars IP is a gateway to tabletop gaming for so many people. X-Wing is probably one of the most, we talked another one in the past where Brian Xtreme said, I played Blood Bowl, I don't play other games back in the day. I think there's people that say, I play X-Wing and I play video games. Like that's how mainstream a lot of these Fantasy Flight games have been. And when they got the Star Wars IP, I mean, it's unbelievable. So the fact that they can go from game type to game type, from dice to cards to tabletop, next logical step has to be a battle game, right? And before we kind of jump into it, it's kind of funny. Like I want to kind of, before we get into the nitty gritty of the game, because we're probably going to lean on Biron most of it, because Star Wars is such a huge brand and synonymous with gaming, let's go kind of around the circle here. I want to talk about what's been our experience with Star Wars in games, tabletop games, probably not, even though video games could be a whole episode in itself. Tabletop games, Star Wars, what have you guys already played?
I started off, I think I always bought the Star Wars RPG books.
Yeah.
Just because before, the new movies, even before the prequels came out, that was like my only source for nerdy Star Wars technical data was the Star Wars RPG books. So I always bought those just to read them. Never played it.
You didn't play it? Because I'll talk about that because I did.
That game. I loved reading the extended lore.
Yeah.
And then more recently, I got back into Star Wars as far as gaming goes with X-Wing. I went all in on X-Wing.
X-Wing, I mean, the models are phenomenal. Maybe we'll do an episode on it one day.
Yeah, I've never seen pre-painted models look as good as that.
Yeah, and I'm sure, they've been around. They're still releasing new stuff.
Yes.
Is it somehow better now than when they first started?
I gave up after about the third expansion. I'm like, I can't keep up. But now with second edition, who the hell knows what's coming on?
Yeah, I tried. I really wanted to get into it, even though I knew it would be a huge money sink. I couldn't dig the gameplay, the idea of picking what you're doing, flipping it over. It just wasn't my style. Some may say I was too dumb for it. That's fine. I don't care. I don't take offense. It just wasn't really my style of it, but I wanted to like it. And the fact that, thankfully, Star Wars has so many other ways, like you have so many other ways to immerse yourself in the Star Wars universe in tabletop gaming. And X-Wing's probably,
I would say the renaissance of Star Wars gaming is infinitely better than the newer product out of Disney film. Like, they've done a better job with Star Wars gaming than they've done with the movie.
Well, you got to remember, when it comes to Star Wars gaming, I mean, they don't really have rules.
Yeah.
So you can do what you want. You can go EU on a lot of that stuff, and you can pick a timetable within the movies. You can say, fuck it, I'm going to go before, I'm going to go after. When we get to me, I'll talk about one, but it's like there's no rules. So the fact that
we'll get to that with Legion especially.
Yeah. I kind of want to ask you about that too. So cool. Anything else, or mostly just X-Wing?
X-Wing, and then I picked up Imperial Assault because I had store credit from Games Plus. Not a sponsor of the show, but a shout out anyway because it's kind of a legendary store. Huge auction, got a lot of credit, and I said, this is how I'll buy Star Wars Imperial Assault. So I picked that up, never played it, and then Legion I went all in on.
Cool. Xtreme, I'm looking at your very Admiral Thrawn-like eyes, very beautiful eyes you have there. Although Chiefs don't have blue eyes. I think they have red eyes.
Yes.
But they're blue skin, but the eyes. Xtreme, what's been your Star Wars gaming?
I don't think I've done any really. Maybe
Really?
it's some of the board games, but nothing tabletop.
No card games or anything?
No.
I'm actually surprised, just because it's hard to not at some point have someone say, "Let's play this," you know.
Yeah. I mean, the X-Wing models looked really cool, and I was kind of afraid to look too closely because I didn't want to get sucked into that because I knew the gameplay-wise, I just never really, like the nautical and the ship flying stuff has just never really appealed.
It is interesting how it does play more like a nautical game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, another reason why I couldn't get into it just was, like you said, Xtreme, not my
You just
thing.
crashed TIE fighters into each other, didn't you? That was your problem.
I totally did. I bought right off the bat like 9 of them, and then I lined them up, and it was like, this game.
I'm not smart enough.
Right. Well, I was playing on a super small table. I'm like, this game's not very good. But I say that because I was upset. I clearly did not know what I was talking about. So, what about you, Mike?
I played the West End Games role-playing game in the 90s, and then Legion. I actually kind of held out on it because you guys were playing it for a while, and then I was like, okay, yeah. Usually I saw them. I saw
he gets seduced by game sluts.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, did you think like it was going to be I'll let this one pass?
Kinda.
So just to explain to the viewers, Mike and Biron, Valdrick and Biron, I don't want to give real names away. We got identities to protect here, clearly. They are part of a gaming group focused in Grognard games, and they are the Friendly Ass Grognards. And that group, at any given time, could switch to a new game, but one of them might stick. And that it might stick for a year, 6 months, whatever. So I could see maybe thinking, are they really going to do this? Or are they going to play the starter set, say it's not cool, and go to a skirmish game? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, but then I saw the last movie, and it kind of got me psyched, so I just went into it.
Okay. Cool.
It does have for a war game, it does have a fairly low barrier of entry.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Well, I will say this too, just to suck off Fantasy Flight even more. They just because of the way they design their games, whether it's dice with symbols that are already, I mean, coming from the gaming episode about designing your own shit, they're so good at repurposing mechanics and components and everything. And of course, they're a huge company, so mass production. That's how you can get an X-Wing starter for $39.99. That's how. What's the Legion starter? $100?
80, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So
80.
80 for I think like 2 squads of Rebels and 2 squads of Imperial and a couple characters.
Yep.
So that's awesome. For me, I will say that I definitely remember playing. I don't think I played the West End Games role-playing game because Aaron, who you know, Mike, did you know he was our DM in our Star Wars role-playing game?
Oh, really?
Yeah. He also, so not only did he run it, and he did a good job, he played an NPC that helped us throughout that was called B8, and we just called it Bates. I just thought that was funny. Like, I don't know why, like, instead of like a normal, like, whatever, dun 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 dun, it's just Bates. But he did a great job with it. And then soon after, do you guys remember the Star Wars miniatures game from Wizards of the Coast?
Blind packs, right?
Yeah. So it's so funny because yesterday in prepping for this episode, I wanted to look up those I don't have any more. I wanted to look at those models online, and I forgot how terrible those models. It looks like, you know that meme, that 40K meme where it has like the old, it's like a
help me, Clarence. Do you love me?
Well, and his eyes are like bugged out because they don't know how to do eyes. Every model fucking looked like that.
Yes, they were awful.
And I get it. They're painted by, kids in a third world country. I totally get it. But like, that was where, Mike, remember when you ate the Princess Leia? That was one of those. That was probably the best, like one of the best ones they had. Because I totally forgot all this. That game came out, it came out with miniatures and a game with it. And the game was on a grid. It was like a fold out paper grid. Really shitty game. I don't know, I don't want to put down hero clicks. I know some people love that, but like even though there was no clicks, it was just that style of the kind of game. I just didn't like it at all. But I wanted to collect the models. Because the first ones that came out, they all had obviously their different names. It's like the action figures, how they have Power of the Force and all the different ones. Each one that came out, I think they came out around was the second movie, Attack of the Clones, around that era, even though the first series was all original trilogy stuff. As time went on, they hit every single character that's been in the movies. And then Revenge of the Sith came out, every character from all of that. Then it was like, what else? Then they started to go to EU, and they started to just go on and on and on. Video games had characters too. So many. Then it was like a fringe series where it was just literally just like, this is hired gun number 6. This is pilot 5. And just random models. So
did they go in the depths of creepypasta and find erotic slash fic and go, we're making a figure for that?
Totally. And so at a certain point, I'm like, I didn't play the game really at all, but I'm saying this because as I moved to my second time playing Star Wars role-playing game, which was the new-ish, the Wizard, TSR, whatever. I know they repackaged it because I think they came out in 2000. That they did, and they repackaged it maybe whatever it was. But we used Paul Ewright, who you guys know. He actually was the DM of that one, and he wanted to play on a grid with models. So we used all of those models for that.
So they did kind of like, remember the D&D minis?
Yeah.
The for that blind box. They actually came out with a decent game for that. The actual D&D minis game was actually pretty decent, and I remember playing it a lot.
It's weird because
you could repurpose those for D&D. They were great for that. I wonder if they're trying to.
They also had, with the mechanics in the game, you can kind of have some crossover. I don't know why. Maybe they released a new Star Wars miniatures game as time went on. I had no idea when I was doing the research that it came out in 2004, which I knew, but I had no idea that it went on to like 2010. I had no idea that they were doing Star Wars, those little rubbery kind of line models to 2010.
Well, it's because there wasn't much competition. I mean, Star Wars people will buy everything,
That's true. Good point. So I used those miniatures for my second run in Star Wars role playing, and it was just one of those where those fit. We played in a grid, so I liked it. At that time, it was kind of there wasn't really a lot else going on. You talked about lore. I remember buying. They had these books that were like the size of the same role-playing book, but one was all about alien species. One was all about vehicles. One was all about weapons. And so I remember
that stuff.
Those were like all my lore ones. Yeah. And it was great because they all had timelines because it was back with the EU and everything.
I liked how they explained in one of the books I had, explaining how the Ewoks were able to defeat stormtroopers. Something about the stone on that planet has a mass reaction when it hits metal, and therefore it hits with the force of XYZ.
Oh, wow.
Like, wow, they really tried to explain that.
And if you look at like the index of those books, they'll tell you where they cited it from, what novel or what comic or what video game or whatever. So it's pretty cool. After that, I don't think, again, I tried X-Wing. I'm trying to think what else. I actually didn't play. I want to try Rebellion at some point. That game looks awesome. Mm-hmm. It's newish game, not back from them. But
is that the board game like taking over planets and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's really well regarded. I know that.
Yeah, I've heard great things. Imperial Assault. I played one sort of campaign of the first, just a box set. I dug it. It's basically Descent. We'll do an episode on it. It's Descent with guns in Star Wars, and it's not meant to shit on it. It's meant to praise it. Descent's a very smooth game. It gives you just enough RPG lights to upgrade characters and with cards and this and that and story, but it also lets someone jump in and play a game in an hour and not up until 3 a.m.
So is it literally just kind of a reskin of Descent?
It sure felt like that.
Yeah. Which is fine. I'm cool with that.
The nice thing is because it's Star Wars though, like it's not a downer. I would have, if you said this is a reskin of this game, but like just a sci-fi Descent, right? Let's just say we did sci-fi Descent. You are generic. I don't want to even say Space Marine because that's patented, but you are generic Space Army Man, number 5, whatever. I would say that kind of sucks because that literally is just a reskin. But because it's Star Wars and there is enough flavor text, and they do the thing that they do very well with their games is they have that chart that if you win this game, now you break onto this one. If I won this game, we break onto this one, and it kind of goes in their own path. So Descent does that, and Star Wars Imperial Assault does that, which was great. So definitely dig that. We'll cover that in another episode. But yeah, so I think between all of us, we got, Star Wars gaming is part of our lives and our culture for so long that the likely next step for Fantasy Flight is we got to do a battle game. I'm going to give you my initial thoughts when I heard about Legion. And then I want, if anyone wants to say their own too, but I want Biron to kind of set me straight on it. You're going to scare me straight on this. You're prison Mike coming to my job to teach me how it is in the clink. All right. So I hear about Legion and I was like, oh shit, I love Imperial Assault. That's great. I wonder if I could just, because I already have 30 stormtroopers. Well, the scale's going to be a little bit bigger. Okay. Like a lot bigger, or is it going to take me out? Because I'm kind of a nerd about that. And some people are, some people aren't. Just how it goes. I don't, the argument's always, well, real life people are bigger or smaller. Like, yeah, but like in real life, nobody has you don't have pudgy hands on one guy and real hands on the other. We're different sizes, but we're relative.
It wouldn't look right.
Right.
Two stormtroopers, different scales next to each other wouldn't look right.
So I looked at it, I'm like, knowing me, how I am, I would just have to get it. I'm like, that's cool, whatever. But I still really looked at it. I actually played a demo at Grognard the first day Todd got it. He asked me if he's like, would you want me to open it up? I'm like, I would love that. So me and Howie played basic scenario. I think we had 2 squads each. I was not feeling the coherency with the put a guy here and then everyone around him. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I played 40K for a billion years.
Yes.
I don't know. Even though I played other, that one I wasn't into it too much. And then I kind of got some vibes from it there's a version of Imperial Assault called Imperial Assault Skirmish, and we'll talk about that on the episode. I don't like it at all. I don't think it's fun. It's not how the game should be played. Imperial Assault, in my opinion, is a story-driven game, playing scenarios, not I want to build a force, you build a force. Legion had a little bit of it. It was not, just enough to make, okay, that's the same kind of thing. So I decided to hold off. And at that time, I didn't know if I was going to be moving out of the area anyway or not, but I decided to hold off. I don't believe you guys got into it at that time, right? You didn't get into it when it first came out.
Nope.
Okay. So I kind of thought, at the same time, you know what else came out is a Song of Ice and Fire. So it was another battle game and another known IP by the other big board game miniatures company. So I was like, oh, that's mine. I'm going to do that one because I wanted the regiments. Even though I like Star Wars more, I wanted I kind of picked my lane of sorts. So I kind of blew it off. As time has gone on, I've learned, Biron, that you've gotten into it. You played some games. Mike, you played it. And I've done some more research, and I'm going to throw this one out there before I turn it over to you, Biron. They did this thing that Star Wars Miniatures did. Because I told you, I did play the Star Wars Miniatures game early on. I think the comic store I used to kind of hang out with, we did some gaming there. They do this thing where build your force with whatever you want, which means I have Darth Vader, you have Anakin Skywalker at age 21 against Darth Vader, or you got them both on your team, which is fucking dumb. I just recently learned that Star Wars Legions has now dabbled into many other eras of the game. And I read on the internet, so it must be true, that you can mix and match and do whatever you want. Now it's over to you, Biron.
You can mix and match and do whatever you want. A purist like myself would say you can't. But actually, you can't mix and match. You can't have Vader, even though Anakin's not out yet.
Yeah.
You can't have Vader and Anakin on the same team.
Can you have Vader and what are the droids from the first episode?
Trade Federation, no, because they're separate. The armies themselves, you have to stay within the period and the faction. So think of it. I don't know if anyone's familiar. If you guys have played Flames of War. There's early war and late war and mid war, except you're allowed to cross. But within your own army, you can't have, for instance, Trade Federation droids led by the Emperor.
So
you never led them in battle.
In your own army, you cannot mix and match eras.
Correct. You would have a Trade Federation army, so your leaders at this point would be Dooku, or who's the robot with all the
Grievous.
Grievous. Those would be your leaders.
So you could have a clone trooper army with Obi-Wan in his armor, but not old Obi-Wan.
Correct. It would
Okay.
be, to my knowledge, old Obi-Wan doesn't exist in the game yet.
Oh, okay. Well, right there, it's actually great news. I read something online. I searched. I think it was actually on it might have been a Star Wars.net article. So it was like a gaming. It wasn't a gaming stuff, but it was still Star Wars. And I thought it was one of the designers saying, "You definitely can mix and match." But
you can from the standpoint that you could have a Federation droid army versus an Imperial Stormtrooper army.
Okay, so from the standpoint of there's a tournament, which none of us give a shit about.
Right.
There's a tournament going on at Adepticon for Star Wars Legion. At that point, it's not going to be as you say, Flames of War. This is not a late war tournament.
Right. You could have the Clone Wars era versus the Rebellion era.
Okay.
And
I still think it's dumb.
Your own army has to stay within that.
Okay. I still think it's dumb to do that, but at least somebody can't ruin their whole army by doing what I thought you can do.
Yeah. Like you can't have Darth Vader leading a bunch of droids or...
Now, let me ask you, when that game first came out, I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Biron, but I can remember you saying something like, okay, so you either basically have an Imperial army or like a bunch of other guys, and I don't want to paint white, looks dumb. I think
that was probably true, but I learned a trick to painting white, so now I'm actually in favor because we did a very short-lived Horus Heresy thing where I chose the World Eaters.
Oh, you did great with those. Those were awesome.
Yeah, and so I learned the trick to white, so now I'm all in favor of painting Stormtroopers.
You learned the tricks to whites. You know how they tick.
Yes.
They like golf. They like Billy Joel. There's certain things the whites like. We know this. So with that said, you don't think that way anymore. You think it's cool. But I have to ask you, do you think out of necessity they had to move to different eras? Because isn't it kind of, 40K, look at how many factions and sub-factions there are in a battle game.
They do. They absolutely do.
You had it.
Yeah. They're going to do the new trilogy. And the new trilogy, which, just so you know, this game's losing one Zlurpee because I now hate Star Wars. The new trilogy is so bad, but I'm actually looking forward to getting the New Order because I think their Stormtroopers look awesome and they have so many variants. So I'm pretty pumped.
Then you can get Captain Phasma as well on there.
Yeah, that'd be easy. Just a little what's it called? Silver base spray.
Yeah. Here we go.
Golden oil.
Stormcast over here.
Yeah.
And she's over here.
Yeah.
So I saw that. My first thought was they had to do different eras. Now, it was probably inevitable anyway, because if you're Fantasy Flight and you achieve a modicum, is that the right word? Am I saying it right? A modicum of success? Or modicum? Modicum. I wanted to use that word this episode. A modicum of success. You're like, why the hell wouldn't we? Even Imperial Assault. Now, Imperial Assault, I will say this. They have stuck within just before 4 and just after 6.
Yep. So
it's not straight movies, but it is like original trilogy and then like a little extra because they do cover Star Wars Rebels. There's actually an expansion that is that entire crew is in the expansions. But so they did that. I thought that was cool. Legion said, well, this is a mass-produced, mass battle game. That means we want to make a lot of models. We want to sell a lot of models. Games Workshop has built an industry on selling models upon models. We're doing that too. So I guess why wouldn't you? The weird part is, unlike 40K or Fantasy, Age of Sigmar or whatever, there's a bunch of factions that all make sense. Like, you can create any storyline of why we're fighting. We could have Space Marines against Space Marines. Here's why we're fighting, because an Inquisitor told me you were up to some shit. Boom, a reason, done. Good guys, bad guys, bad guys. You always had a reason in 40K and even, Warhammer Fantasy. For Legion, do you try to justify a battle with 2 eras, or you just say, fuck it, it's just a game, who cares?
I say, fuck it, it's a game, who cares? You could always justify it, though. You'd be like, of course, there's still a trade federation. They're diminished, sure, but they got those droids. They're sitting in a warehouse somewhere, sure. Yeah. Clone Troopers, maybe not so much. That's a little trickier to justify because there's only a handful left.
You can paint them like me and just dirty them up, put a bunch of Nuln on them, and say, these just were left over.
Yeah.
They age differently, right? So they're maybe like 60 years old, so they're oldish. Yeah. But I think you have to just play it as a game. And now, with that said, could you ever see, and just throwing this out there because maybe you've done it, you've got a gaming group of 6 people. You want to stay within the original trilogy. How does that play out with 6 people? We all want to be unique. We want to kind of do a little narrative. How's that play out?
Well, what's interesting, so you only have 2 factions, right? And they don't have the unit diversity of, say, a game like 40K. But just swap it, because it's not just units. It's command cards. It's equipment cards. This is where it pulls a lot from X-Wing. Just changing equipment on a unit changes how it behaves. Changing the leader, the single leader, is huge in how it plays, because it's not just what this leader can do. It's what cards does it add to this deck that I'm drawing from.
Yeah.
And how does that change?
That's Imperial Assault as well. I told you earlier,
Yeah.
Fantasy Flight, they're not stupid. When they find a mechanic that works, they put it in everything. And the Imperial Assault is the same way. You have decks for different people and all that, and all kinds of upgrades. So I'm playing you. I'm going to go with, am I to assume that all the characters we know from movies have models?
Well, first we should set this point that I've not played I've only played the skirmish level.
Okay.
Which, unlike some games, the skirmish is very much like the full battle game. It's just lower points, 1 less turn, different scenarios, smaller board. But
I've now dropped this whole episode once.
They're all
this
the same.
is one Zlurpee less the whole episode.
Yeah.
Because you can't even be
Right.
the point person, if you will, on this.
But it's also the only game I've played aside from Necromunda that I've played with a fully painted army.
With skirmish, are they model by model, or you have squads?
Squad still. It still plays exactly the same from a rules mechanic of shooting, moving, and everything like that is the same.
Oh, then why the difference?
Unit count, turn count, and missions.
Same game?
Yes.
Oh,
all the rules for
what?
shooting and moving are the same.
You're on the one Zlurpee that you lost because of, dare I say, your ignorance on your chosen topic. It's like half up there now. It's not full, but it's enough to, like, if you mixed flavors in the Zlurpee, you see the other one coming up the bottom.
Basically, I could have lied and said I've played the full game, and it wouldn't matter from a rules standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same game. It's just less points.
Okay. So that aside, you and I are playing a game. We're in a narrative campaign. We are both Imperial players. What does your force look like? What does my force look like?
Well, the biggest thing, especially with Imperial players, I would find that would differentiate the teams would be, are you going for a badass leader like Darth Vader? Or are you just going to throw an Imperial officer in there so you get more units?
Okay.
Then you play the game of, I have more activations than you. You're done. All your guys are done moving, and I still have 2 to go. Versus, oh, crap, Vader's in my grill. This unit's dead, and he's going to kill the next unit, too. The leader seems to make a huge difference in this game.
Do you think if you were trying to do something, and again, I'm not trying to put this game in a box, so to speak, but I'm asking the question because I think when people play games, especially battle games and skirmish games are notoriously already narrative. This is how skirmish games play, because people feel like characters.
Right. They call it it's not a skirmish game. The skirmish game of this is a mass battle game at lower scale.
Okay.
So we should probably not even consider it a skirmish game, in my opinion.
Okay. And I wasn't trying to really get at that. I was more or less saying that you can play battle game. Like if we played Flames of War, if we play 40K, we can create stories around these games, these missions. We can reenact battles we know. We can make up battles. We can do all this. Is there still you're hanging out after a game, as many gamers do, they go in the parking lot of their favorite game store and talk for an hour while all their wives are texting them. That's a standard thing after every game. Oh man, you remember what happened? Like I think about 40K, like I threw that vortex grenade, it went through your whole, man, do you remember? Does that happen? Like, remember when your stormtroopers shot and missed my stormtroopers? Do you remember when mine though? Like, am I missing that? Or is this really supposed to be Imperial versus Rebel every game?
No, I think Imperial versus Imperial works just fine because, like, there's so much, even though they don't have the unit count, like adding, for instance, an ATST, you can take it in skirmish and it will kick some ass, but it will kick ass against 1 unit, and that's a full activation. And is it really worth it? But an army with an ATST is going to play so different than an army that's just stormtroopers.
Okay.
Now, of course, if you guys take similar armies, they're going to play very similar, but
okay.
There's not a lot of variety like there is in 40K, though.
So with that, wasn't there, I thought they were going to make I don't want to call it a bounty hunter army, because it's not what they were doing. Is there like a fringe kind of ragtag?
No, they did for X-Wing. They did like the Outlaws faction for X-Wing that was all bounty hunters and the Hutt Cartel or whatever. But the bounty hunters in this case, and they've released 2 so far. They've released Boba Fett and Bossk. But they count as operatives, the operative unit, and for Imperials only.
Okay. So maybe one day, do you think they might delve into almost, I don't know, here's like a Carillion militia or something? Like, do you think they might ever?
If they do, it'll be after they do the next trilogy. Because I think one of the obvious reasons they made, the Clone Wars era is because they paid for the license.
Yeah.
They're going to use everything they possibly can.
That's true. You're right. So with all that said, when you've played your games, how have those games, like, what did you guys take? What did you use? How did it end up going?
I've only played Imperials, and I've played against Rebels, both Ryan and Mike, I think. And I've played against the droids, Droid Federation. Okay. And all the battles have been differently, and they've all been very close. The droids haven't been fleshed out enough, so like in the tournament scene, they're not doing as well because they don't have as many unit choices. So,
are there vehicles?
Yes, you have ATSTs. There's the tank that's from the Star Wars. What's the standalone Rogue One that you saw for like 5 seconds in Rogue One? The tank is there for them and they have speeder bikes. The Rebels have AT-RTs, which are the little walkers, and stove speeders, and land speeders like Luke's land speeder, but with guys with like rocket launchers hanging on the side. Yeah. So yeah, there's vehicles and there's new tanks coming out for both the clones and stuff. But if you take vehicles, you're taking 1, maybe 2, even in a full-size game.
There are snow speeders like,
yes.
Yes. Empire?
Not for Empire. They're for the Rebels. T-47.
Oh. He meant Empire the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that era, I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Obviously they're not going to do like vehicles, right?
Right. They're not going to have an ad or whatever.
I mean, yeah. It also doesn't fit. 40K again. I keep throwing it because it's a battle game, but it's like Star Wars exists on 2 planes. It exists on the ground and exists on space. It doesn't really exist a lot in vehicles right above your head. Well,
and I think the main reason you won't see an AT-AT in this game is because there's no real equivalent in the era for the Rebels to have to go against it.
Yeah. That almost would be like, what, I can see someone scratch building one and go into Adepticon, and that becomes like a table game.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to tie the cable around in 4 turns or something.
Yeah. Well, there is, and there's a company, I forgot the name of them, I apologize, that makes scenery, and one of the scenery pieces is a wrecked AT-AT.
Oh, I think on Etsy I saw someone, I think they actually ripped it off and just...
Yeah, I have some of their scenery, and it's amazing, and it's pre-painted and everything, obviously 3D printed. Jameson has the wrecked AT-AT, and it looks awesome.
That's cool. So as far as gameplay goes, are there different scenarios, rules, and playing on different planets and different settings?
There's no settings rules like you're on a high gravity but there are. So the difference between skirmish and the main game, one of the biggest differences, skirmish takes place on a 3x3, and the main game takes on a 6x3, and that's a cunning design choice of not going by a 4x4 or a 6x4, is because it gives you room to put all your cards out. So you have that border on each table so you can put your cards on. There's like neoprene mats you can get that I got. And
they can sell their own mats too that are only that size, right?
Yes. So. Well, it works great because you have a 6x4 at a game shop like Grognard's. Right. Then I have this little neoprene strip, which I think I can show you real quick.
Are we supposed to talk while he's gone? Okay, he's back.
Yeah. I saw your underwear.
Oh.
So you have your unit cards and then your equipment cards. And this takes up, the 6 inches on either side, so you turn a 6x4 into a 6x3.
Did they make that?
No, this is from another company.
Wow.
Someone jumped on it before they could.
Yeah, total missed opportunity. That's a good idea. So, so as far as creating a battle, creating an army list, tell me how that breaks down. Are there like troops and HQ and all that kind of stuff?
Yes. You have it's got a force organization chart, if you will. So skirmish is 500 points. So you have to have 1 HQ. It doesn't have to be a named character. There's generic non-named HQs if you want to save points on that. And then you have to have a certain amount of troops, which would be stormtroopers, rebel troopers. Then you have operatives, which are like Boba Fett and Bosk and some of the other characters. Then you have fast attack, which would be like speeder bikes and snow speeders. Heavy support would be like an ATST. And then special forces would be like, there's biker scouts that are just by themselves, not on a speeder bike. And they have like snipers and stuff like that.
What's required to take?
1 HQ, and I think 2 for skirmish. I think it's 2.
It's
Two
2 in
troops?
skirmish and 3 in the real game.
Yeah.
So could Mike build a fast attack-ish oriented army, and I build a huge foot slogging army?
Yes, but you would be limited in how many fast attacks you could take because you still have to take troops.
From there, I mean, so we've got 2 factions in the original box and in the original trilogy. We go into the prequels and we have Trade Federation faction and clone troopers.
Yep.
Okay. Is that really it right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're constantly releasing new units for both, even the original set.
That's good.
Just right before everything went all crazy, they were about to release some of the units that are from the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game for the Empire, like basically special ops TIE fighter pilot guys.
Okay.
And then for the Rebels, they already had Jyn Erso, but they were releasing the K2SO robot and the guy.
Okay.
It was also in it. Those are coming out.
That's
And they're
cool.
releasing some units that can be used in across eras. So they have a C-3PO R2-D2 unit that you could use in Clone Wars and in, the New Hope series.
Wow. Okay.
And they also have released scenery packs that have rules and scenarios.
What's that, Xtreme?
What would 3PO and R2 really do in a battle?
R2 actually has attack abilities. He's got the little zapper. But they I can't remember, but they count as non-combatants, so you could use them to do tricky stuff, but they can't be shot at. So they have a lot of like special rules as a goof, I guess.
It's just good to have them, just for
Yeah.
fun, for funsies.
Yeah. I don't know any like top tables that would use them, if you will, but I don't know. I haven't even seen them yet because everything's been delayed.
Not an auto include, obviously.
Yeah.
So from this point, is it really, when the expansions come out, is it kind of like you've got a new sequel? I guess the new trilogy, we're gonna call it. Is that going to be its own set?
That would be my guess is they would do it because when they did the Clone Wars stuff, they released a new starter set with a bunch of troops for both sides, both factions. So I assume they'll do the same. They haven't announced anything yet. Everyone's just assuming at this point.
Okay.
So if I ever buy another faction, it will be probably the New Order stuff, just because I like painting stormtroopers because they go together so easy.
What's your secret to painting white now?
Contrast paints. I use the Apothecary White.
Oh, how great is that?
Yeah, I use Apothecary White, and then I use a wash, and then I dry brush with like Braxati White and call it done.
Yeah, because the Apothecary White has gray that goes in the recesses, like gray. And so a lot of people, people paint white in a lot of different ways. I can see people doing other things for stormtroopers because there's a good amount of black in between the armor too.
That's what I use the contrast paint, the Black Templar.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Just get a glob of that and just kind of.
Yeah, works well.
You can see. Well, you won't be able to see very well, but.
Do you have models? Okay, so this is the best approach we've ever done on this show to showing a model. That looks good, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
But then even with stormtroopers, like I did the shore troopers because those also came out, and they have more of a dirty, grungy appearance.
Yeah.
But of course, they also released snow troopers, which are basically hazard equipment troopers with the E-web.
Yep. They've got those E-webs in Imperial Assault are insane, by the way.
Yeah.
They just destroy everybody.
And then They also, my favorite commander right now is Krennic.
Yeah, from the new
Because he's
movie.
also white, and I like painting white now.
Yeah. Do they have Shadow Troopers, the black ones?
They have the Death Troopers from the movie.
Okay, cool.
Well, in theory, I've been trying to get a hold of some for a long time.
Okay.
They sell out. And they are very expensive, but very awesome. And they have kind of a lookout, sir, for those familiar with 40K rule, with Krennic.
Yeah.
Where you could just march Krennic up and they'll take the wounds off, and they have a better save than Krennic does.
Nice. As far as battle games you've played, I mean, where do you put this as far as your enjoyment level of it?
So far, it's high because I know I can get a game in an hour and a half max at skirmish level. And here's one of the things that you mentioned I want to bring up, but I made a note of it here, where you're basically moving the unit leader, then maintaining cohesion. Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome because the one thing I hate is overly futzy movement mechanics. You only really care about your unit leader. So he's the only one you have to line up and move, and it uses widgets, which I actually like because I always forget my measuring tape anyway. But you only move your leader. That's the only thing you care about, and the rest you could just kind of pile around. And you could game it and say, oh, look, this guy could.
But I mean, if I'm shooting at you and you put your other guys that you said don't matter up front, they are.
They still count for line of sight, so you can still shoot at the unit.
So it's not as just do whatever as your
right
kind of.
Yeah, you don't have to have line of sight to the unit leader.
Okay.
But for the purposes of movement, you're just like and then you just grab them all and plop them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I go back and forth all the time on that kind of stuff. You know, there is something to be said for globs. You know, trays, Kings of War trays, or Apocalypse in 40K trays. What's Mantic's battle game?
Mantic? Who's that?
No, the 40K one.
Warpath.
Is that out yet?
What's that, Biron? Is it out?
Is it out? Or are they doing another Kickstarter for it?
Let me phone Ronnie. I will phone him. So I go back and forth, and I actually don't know if I have a preferred style. Like because there's good and bad about all of those. Like Kings of War, which we'll probably do an episode on it, much to Biron's chagrin. Kings of War is a very easy, elegant movement system that is old school Warhammer Fantasy. But sometimes if you got a cool table, good luck, because it's like, I don't really
falling over. Well, also, but it is still futzy because you're like, oh, do I have that angle, get this template out?
There are, but you could also kind of get it exactly right. Like I remember playing old Warhammer Fantasy with the wheel thing. Remember that, Mike?
Yeah.
And I had a lot of trouble with that. I couldn't get it, but it just
I'm not smart enough for that.
Yeah, so Kings of War, again, I'm not going to keep talking about that, but just you could put a little template there and see kind of the lines go out and see where you're at. So I kind of go back and forth. 40K obviously has its system that everybody's known for a billion years. It's the same. It's never changed. It is squads of guys 2 inches apart. It is what it is. They've always done that. The beauty of the 40K style is you can have the most insanely looking cool table. We can find a way to play on it. Again, vehicles and other shit might get a little hairy, but we'll always find a way to play on it. As long as you can tell me, can I climb up this? Can I not? Okay, because I can, find my way through a little trench and that kind of thing. In Legion, when you're moving guys, I mean, could I have a crazy thematic tabletop and still function in that game with movement?
Yeah, it's still, the movement's still, if you wanted to, well, not even if you wanted to be, the movement is still 40KS where you can, make the blob form any shape you want. It's just, it speeds up the game when you only, put your movement widget on the leader, move the leader, and then you can just place your guys however you want as long as they're within cohesion.
I could see that. Well, it's kind of like, again, in 40K, if I'm playing orcs, I move the closest guy.
And then
everybody's behind him because you can't be in front of him because he moved his max. So I think we always look for shortcuts in movement anyway. The fact that they've written that in is a good thing.
Well, and it's true line of sight, sort of, because, you're moving the guy and put the guys wherever. So if you're going to say you're shooting at that unit, you can only kill guys you can see. So let's say I get 10 hits on your unit, but I can only see 3 guys. 3 guys are going to die. You can't kill guys you can't see. So it's still got that level of realism.
So if there's overkill, the guys are behind a building, they're safe.
Yeah. If you can't see them, you can't kill them.
do people kind of game that a bit too much?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Right.
Not in our crew, because I'd be like, whatever, who cares? But I'm sure in tournaments that's why they're also changing line of sight. It used to be, oh, I can see your hand, I can shoot you. Now they're doing the whole cylinder thing, I think.
So, I mean, basically, you take the base and make
the base and make a cylinder out of it. Yep.
So everybody is like a walking Coke can, essentially.
Yes.
Right?
Which I actually like that. I think that's fair. I don't care either way, but
well, it's weird because
there's not a lot of modeling opportunities where you can make them all crazy anyway.
Well, and to be fair, 40K is a modeling hobby and a game. This is, you make the models how they're made, correct?
Yes. Yeah, you're not, well, people of course do, but it's not designed for that.
Yeah, right. So it's not, they're all going to, I don't know. I'm going to flatten them. They're all going to be 2D.
Yeah.
No one's going to, you can't really game that.
Or like the people that have the prone model, like you can't see him, he's prone. All right, now he shoots. Like he can't see either then.
Right, yeah. I put him on the ground because he's crawling. Now you can't see him. Well, that means you can't see me. Well, no, he'll stand up for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
He'll stand up to shoot, but won't stand up to get shot at. That guy is a genius.
Like,
that.
The face flick guy's like, I guess we have to do this because everyone's a fucking asshole.
Right, totally.
Well, yeah, they had the, like people were snipping because, Luke's lightsaber, he was totally like this. And if you could, since it was taller, it would be seen and people would shoot it by the letter of the rule.
Rules is written, brah.
And so they would be snipping the lightsaber or.
I have a stun dagger now. It's like,
wow. It's in the process of igniting.
Yeah. It's like
they caught him in mid as it's coming out. That was when the snapshot was taken. So
it's a light dagger, not a lightsaber.
Mike, what's your take on the game? You've played a few times?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I would rather play that than 40K. I'll tell you that. But
yes.
Yeah.
Is that because of the game of 40K causing that, or because the people that how like 40K gets every edition comes out, right? And they say they fixed all this shit, but then it gets tainted as time goes on because of all the add-ons and everything. Is that because of that, or is it you actually say no? It's a way better game.
It was a simpler game, and as I get older, I don't want. Like when I was doing the Plague Marines and you've got 5 different hand-to-hand weapons and all these different guns and I have to keep looking up over and over and over again. I just got tired of it. Okay. So, and this is a lot simpler.
Got everything on the cards in front, so.
Yeah, and the dice mechanic, it's like you said, it's the same for, it's a simple dice mechanic and yeah. And I enjoy the universe, so.
Yeah, this is something that you could see maybe not the friendly-ass grognards, but another gaming group playing it week in, week out, and after 30 games with the same group of people, still fun? Like, do you have enough to switch it up to make it fun? Is it because 40K? Again, I'm not here to shill 40K, but just that's the battle game everybody compares to. So,
yeah, no one's going to have the variety of 40K though.
Yeah,
40K. I mean, at any point in time, depending on the size of my wallets, I can play the game indefinitely with a fresh feel because it's endless. It's the combinations are endless, which is good and bad. It's bad because it's more shit to learn. It's good because you can play forever. After a while, I mean, I'm not trying to shit on it. I really want to know, like, would you get tired of playing this after a while?
I guess a lot of it would depend on your scenario too.
Are there scenarios in the game?
So the way, and I want to bring that up. The way that works is, like the open war cards for 40K, where you're like, all right, here's our deployment, here's our mission, here's our
Great, I love it.
That's how this game is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a stack of cards for deployment, and of course, like Friendly House Gardener is like, this deployment looks complicated. What is this circle in the middle?
Yeah.
Well, there's also you're supposed to lay out, randomly choose 3 cards for deployment, 3 for mission, and 3 for twist.
And then you could say, I don't want this one.
Yeah.
I can cancel that.
There's always that. As soon as you see a circle, you're like, I'm not measuring radius.
No, it's gone.
Yeah.
So
3.14 times what?
Yeah, right. Either am I coming in this way or are we coming in this way? That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Choose your sides. Where are we standing right now? These are our sides.
Right.
One of the mechanics I really love and it's so simple, it's dumb, and should be included in every game, is each side gets a certain amount of barricades after everything's set up to place where they want. So you always have somewhere to get cover, because cover is huge in this game.
You know, what's weird is, and this is kind of, we don't have to talk too much on it, but the idea of putting terrain as essentially part of your army, as part of your tactic, I've always hated that.
Like shield walls.
Oh yeah, I've always thought, I'm showing up here, like shit doesn't move. But what is like that? I set up and now I got a barricade.
Now I got to bring in the independent contractors and
right. Yeah, who was working on that second Death Star? Those independent contractors. They didn't ask for that shit. You know.
But this is not. These are just like little tiny barricades that you can just place.
Could you place them first and then set up your army?
Yeah, you place them before you set up your army.
Oh, sorry, I misinterpreted.
No, they're not part of your army. It's just like, hey, if there's a place where you're gonna get called out and shot to shit, put this here.
Okay, so it's during terrain setup.
Yeah.
It's after the terrain setup. You set up these. You each get 2 in a skirmish game. You each get 2, and you can put them anywhere.
And again, just because I'm a dork about things, I like the idea of the table is set. We're gonna flick the switch. Now the battle is on. Like, you know, because the table's being set up in real life. The battle happens in a fantasy world. I just like to. I don't know. When I merge the two too much, it kind of messes with me. I like the idea of this is the table. Now we're battling. I think the reason they did it was out of necessity, because if you have no cover and someone's got a clear shot at you, so they don't even have to move, so they can, aim is a big issue where you get to reroll stuff. If a unit of stormtroopers has a clear shot at a unit of rebels with no cover and they get to aim, that unit's fucked. That unit's going to get shot to shit and die. They did it out of necessity because if you think about it, Fantasy Flight, just like Cool Mini or Not when they did Ice and Fire, they are board game companies doing a battle game.
Yep.
They're never going to assume you got terrain.
Yes.
They don't want you to play with fucking books under a tablecloth. So they were like, we don't want to do that.
Under a blanket, yeah.
In White Dwarf 137, it says I can use a Coke can as a mountain. Like, well, it does, but whatever. Like, they want to say, we're not 40K. You don't have to buy a billion things and be an expert with a foam cutter. But we also don't want to fuck you over and say, go ahead and play, because you're not going to have fun on a flat table. So it is.
Yeah, everything you need's in the box. Here it is.
Right. Yep. Everything's in the box. You can, grab a mate, split the box, mate, and you play right out of the box. All your terrain's right there, and you're good to go, right?
It wouldn't be a lot of terrain. But it's also just, even in a skirmish game, your deployment zone on a 3x3 is pretty small. So you kind of need that in order to get everything into cover.
So what else is in the box besides the barricades?
The barricades and the models.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the barricades there's rules for them. Like, these are hardcover. You each get 2, and you deploy them now.
They're made to be in the game.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
They even sell them separately if you want to add more.
And they had to errata that you can't put the barricade vertical.
Because everyone's an asshole.
Yes. There are some rules that it's like you can tell these are.
Where does it say? It doesn't say.
Rules is written, bro.
Say that. And on one hand, it's genius. And on the other hand, it's like I want to slap them.
But it's so simple. It's like, oh, you have cover? Well, you take away 2 hits. But crits go right through. So I'll go for that crit, baby. Woo.
It doesn't say I have to put my models with the base on the ground. I could put them all crawling.
Did I just use my bases?
It's just the bases. Xtreme, you got any questions about this? Do you seem intrigued about this game at all?
I'm interested, but you mentioned the moving widgets. Are they like similar to the X-Wing, I think, with the little hinge in the middle?
They're identical, yeah.
They're identical, yeah. And yeah.
So the skirmish level, like, what kind of model count are we looking at? Like,
I put up my last army list, 500 points. I have 7 units. So I have my leader, which in my case was Director Krennic. So that's 1 model. And I have 2 units of stormtroopers. Now, each unit of stormtroopers is 4 stormtroopers. You pay extra to get a 5th stormtrooper. And that's an equipment card is an extra stormtrooper. So that's extra X points. And then I go, I want a heavy weapons trooper in there too. That's another. So you could get it up to 6, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is. 6. So you could have anywhere from 4 to 6 in a unit. So my stormtrooper units, I made them pretty base because I wanted to use other stuff, and you can upgrade units. Shore Troopers, which are more elite stormtroopers. So that's my other unit. And that one I fully upgraded with an additional trooper and a heavy weapon trooper. And then I have a mortar trooper. And this is kind of interesting. So when you buy a box of Shore Troopers, it's like $30. You have enough for a full unit with all the upgrades and then an additional heavy weapon unit, in this case, a mortar.
Is that its own thing?
Yeah. So it's an own unit. So you deploy your Shore Troopers and then you could deploy your mortar trooper within unit coherency, so you can actually deploy it outside of the deployment zone, which is interesting, and that counts as a separate activation. So you get actually 2 full units in a box for $30. So that's one of the great deals, and they do that quite often with Scout Troopers. You can have Scout Troopers for a full kitted out unit, and then another unit that's just a sniper and a spotter.
Nice. Well, like you said earlier, I mean, the fact that Fantasy Flight is, I mean, they're a mass production board game company. So there's no question that a barrier of entry, they want to make you not go broke. They don't want you to be like the average Games Workshop where people, I mean, Games Workshop suffers from everybody gets buyer's remorse because you spend too much, you don't use it, you don't play. Like the nice thing is, even if you don't play this game a billion times, like I said earlier, you're not out $1,000 for an army, right?
No,
Oh, God,
you could,
no.
This whole army, if you do it, because you know you can always do the wheel deal. Like, hey, give me, like I gave Mike my rebels from the starter box. He gave me the stormtroopers. There's so many ways to do it. So I got extra stormtroopers. Then I bought a box of shore troopers, a box of scout troopers, E-Web team. So this whole army probably cost me $100.
Wow.
And it's about 20 to 23 models per skirmish.
Have you've only played skirmish, right?
Yes, because the bigger game it takes longer. So that's more of a weekend game, not a Thursday night game.
Okay. Are you open to playing bigger games?
Yeah. I mean, I would never feel the AT-AT or ATST in a skirmish. You could, but it would either be completely useless as far as point sync or overpowered and no fun. But I would do it in a full game.
I mean,
because ATSTs are cool.
Is it weird to say to have like 3 of them in a big game?
Yeah, because that is literally one of the most expensive units in the game. That's like, think of it like a Land Raider in 40K.
You should justify that by playing a gigantic, like, mega battle at a store or something.
Like you would rarely see more than one if anyone had them at all. Okay. But there's like, of course, people find new tricks. So maybe that is the way to play with 3 ATSTs. One of the big other thing is mounted units. So the Imperials have the dewbacks and the Rebels have tauntauns. And one of the most effective armies right now is big chunky units of 3 tauntauns just wrecking havoc over the field.
Is that because of is there the certain things can't be killed by normal weapons, so you take a shit ton of them? Is that?
Well, that is they basically get to charge and then attack, so they get to move and then charge and then get a free attack, so they can get really far down the field. And just like in some other games, base size matters because you're going from ass to mouth in this game, where you measure from the front to the back. Oh. So whatever the base size is, it gives you that much more movement.
Wow. So the normal way to measure is the same way people cheat in 40K.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the bases have these little notches in them for the widget.
Oh, okay.
So you move from, I mean, this one's not moving very much, but because it's a turret. But
so, to use your example of building your army, let's say I take 3 ATSTs. You've got a bunch of rebel troopers with like whatever basic blasters. Can you actually hurt me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You need crits basically.
Okay.
Because heavier equipment like that, like the ATST stuff, has armor, which I think you need crits to get past.
You need crits, yeah. Okay. So it's basically rolling a 6.
Yeah. So you can always damage it. It's like when they did that. Remember how in 7th edition 40K there were some things that you could never do.
Well, the reason why I say that is in older editions of 40K.
You're smart enough where you can still.
Like I think I'm not going to get my numbers right, but they made it so if you use your Land Raider example, you've got a Land Raider, I've got a bunch of bolters. It was 1 less. Like no matter what I did, the max I could get was like 1 below in the armor. Like it did it on purpose to say, so what the person with the big tanks would do, well, if I kill everything on your side that can kill my big stuff, your little stuff can't kill me. I'm going to win probably by default, unless you somehow do enough other things. But it's nice to see that in this game, nothing is the can't be killed by something else thing.
But again, like if you have ATSTs, they're getting one action, so they get to shoot up one unit, and the other units are out there capturing objectives.
Yeah.
And this game is super objective focused, where you could shoot someone off the board completely. I've never had that happen.
So outside of
you'll whittle down a unit to the point where there's like 1 or 2 guys left in it. So that's less dice you're throwing when you're attacking, because you get the number of dice for the weapon depending on how many people are still alive in the unit. So usually once you kill a unit down to like 1 or 2, you want to focus on the bigger threats, which are fully stocked units. Yeah. So you see a lot of like units of 1 or 2 guys still running around the field. So you don't often completely destroy the other side.
You get credit for killing?
No, you have to fully kill the unit to get credit for
it. So you still want, okay.
Yeah, so there's still motivation to do so, of course. But is it more important to do that or to take threats off the field? One stormtrooper is not a threat.
So outside of your gaming group and like the community for this game as a whole, is it leaning towards being more of a competitive community?
There is a very robust, because when I first got in the game, like everything, I'm like, oh, let's see what YouTube channels there are, and there is quite a big competitive community. Not at our shop so much. We've actually added 2 probationary members of Friendly as Grognards. They're not allowed in the Facebook group yet, because I don't think they can handle some of the stuff we talk about. Yeah. Because they're a little too polite.
Well, and like I mentioned earlier, and we're going to have an episode about gaming groups, but
yeah, they're super nice though.
If you take your gaming group, how many circles within does it go? Like,
we have 2. We have 2.
It's going to end up, well, at some point though, it's going to end up being like a text between the 2 main people. Right. Like it's the inner circle of the whole thing. And the great thing about stuff, and we'll get into that, but it's like everyone thinks they're in like the deepest you can go because they don't know. And I love that. I love that everyone thinks I'm as far as you can go. I've made it. Like, dude, you're in like you're missing 3 different sections right now. I love that. We'll get into that.
I like to be in all the groups, but also know that some of the groups don't know about the other groups.
Right. It's going to be a great, when we get to that, it's going to be a great episode. Because we're trying to do, just for everyone watching, we're trying to do a game and an other episode. A game and an other. And these others are pertinent topics that tabletop gamers would be into as well. So, I mean, what do you guys think about this game as a whole as far as, Biron, you used the line a couple episodes ago about this isn't a game you get into.
I would say this is a game you get into.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because it's a battle game? Is that why?
I think so. There's a bigger time commitment. The lore is so deep, obviously, because it's Star Wars. And they keep on adding units to the game, and they didn't abandon the original set from the original trilogy when they did Clone Wars. They tend to release some new Clone Wars stuff, and then a couple of units, one for Rebels, one for Imperial, for the original stuff, which I think is really smart. It keeps me engaged because I have no interest in droids. I think they look stupid. And the original trilogy I think is garbage, and I'm not really that interested in it.
So in this game, I mean, are you where do you stand right now with it?
I want the stores and stuff to go back to normal so I can play some more. I'm still interested in playing this game.
Okay. And the rest of your group is still into it too?
Yes. Ryan is really all in on this. Ryan's got 2 full armies now. He's playing both Rebels and the Droid Army. And Droid Army, man, he crumped me with the Droid Army because they just, like when the Droid Army first came out, it was just the B1, the little skinny guys, and some leaders. But now they added the B2s with the the wrist blasters, and those things tore me up. But it was a lot of fun.
Okay, good to hear. Anything else we need to cover on
the hobby aspect? I want to get into.
Okay, let's do it.
When the game first came out, it was all, I would say, slightly better than board game plastic resin. A little floppy, a little bendy. Most of the Stormtroopers were 2 pieces, one torso with head, and then both arms holding the gun in one piece, and you kind of stretch them out and put them in the plugs. And most people see that as a downside, like, oh, these models aren't that great. They're not, multi-bead plastic. You can't pose them. For me, it worked perfectly because it made me shed all my fear. Like, these models kind of look like ass a little bit, so I don't care if I do a quick paint job on them. And as I did more and more quick paint jobs, I'm like, you know what, these actually turned out pretty good. And I whipped through, 2 full units of stormtroopers, 2 full units of scout troopers, some snow troopers, and some leaders super fast because I wasn't afraid of ruining like a top tier GW model.
Well, when I was reading reviews of things, and they were comparing Imperial Assault, which I'm familiar with this game, the Legion models are better and more detailed according to people who have played both.
Yes.
And I like the Imperial Assault models. They're not the best. You got to get away from Games Workshop and everything else. Like you can't hold other models to that standard, especially board game plastic models. You just can't. Resin, fine. If you want to get a very detailed resin and you can put it up to the standard, but in these kind of other games, I think you're saying you got used to it. Well, you're painting it. Well, that's because that's what you're working on. You didn't switch between that and some like crazy Age of Sigmar flying thing. So you were all in on this game. So as time went on, you just got used to the style of it, right?
I got used to the style. And like everything, once you get some paint on it, even if it's a mediocre paint job, it looks so much better than the blank gray.
Right.
Yeah. And I wasn't futzing with it too much. I was able to, because that I don't mind painting. Like I did that Necromunda stuff, and that was like each model was individual, and I had fun painting them. So you don't mind doing the detail. But when you're doing when you're painting 25 stormtroopers, I don't want to sit there and go, God, could I make this better? I'm like, I want to move on. And it's the fact that these are 2-piece resin, floppy resin, and they still look okay. It made me actually finish everything.
So it's resin, not plastic, though.
I think it's resin.
Do you have to wash them?
No.
No, it's plastic.
Is it? Yeah. It's floppy. Yeah, it's floppy plastic.
But so it's plastic, but it's the kind of plastic like this is not another GW. It's not a GW thing. This is like plastic as we know it in like 90% of other miniatures games.
Right. It's not hard plastic or whatever.
Right. It's every Fantasy Flight game, every Cool Mini or Not game.
But what is the most frustrating thing about building a bunch of Space Marines, the old style ones with the bolter, is getting the arms to match up with the bolter.
Well, you actually have to look at the instructions, which everybody hates.
Yeah.
So do
Whereas
I.
These, you bend it out, get it in the slots, and let it flop back in.
Is the arm and gun like one thing to just
both arms and the gun is one piece?
That's awesome. So you can really. This one could go up, this one go down, and they're different looking.
No, they fit like Legos. They have slots that are the specific shape. So how they are is how they are.
So
now they're switching to hard plastic on sprue, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be able to build a box of stormtroopers in 4 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder why they're doing that, because that kind of goes against.
Because they have more money, and people said, "What? I wish these were hard plastic and more detail." It's like, how much detail do you need in a goddamn stormtrooper?
Yeah, that too. Well, and like, battle games are different. We're trying to get a painted army on the table. We're not trying to get painted models. We're trying to get painted armies on the table. Yeah. So there's a reason why when you play Necromunda and there's 8 guys, you can get it done. Even I painted a Necromunda, gang. And
like I said, Necromunda and this are the only games. I try to paint a lot of my stuff. Like I have a lot of salamanders painted and things like that. But this and Necromunda are the only ones actually completely finished, a ready-to-go game.
How does that feel?
It feels pretty good. It
does, doesn't it? Yeah. When you get stuff like...
It also makes you more invested in the game, I think. If you paint...
One thing that happens to me a lot is when I get something fully painted, I usually don't want to add anything ever again. Like I go, it's done. You're like, this came out. I don't remember what colors I used. I might have wrote something down. I probably didn't. It's not gonna... I don't have the urge to want to do it. So it's like, no, I'll just power through. I decided to make a three ATSTs take on the world. That was my bad. I got to go with it.
I made the mistake with my ATST of doing recess shading. And I'm like, there's a lot of recesses in this goddamn thing. What was I thinking?
Can you show it?
Like where you take the null oil and just lay it in the recesses,
Yeah.
As opposed to just slopping it on.
Right, because you only want it on certain parts.
Right.
Well, I mean, even with like Space Marines, if you look at like their power armor, you look at like the little metal parts in there. You don't want to put on their leg. You want to put it in the parts that look like gears and shit. So
like you could get away with just slopping null oil on a Space Marine and then dry brushing the primary color back over it, but you can't on a big flat piece like that. Well, you can, but it doesn't look very good.
might get splotchy on there.
Yeah.
And it's
Or
like,
a
okay,
Space Marine tank, you're not gonna slop on the null oil and then.
I guess we're gonna go camo on everything now because it's already splotchy everywhere.
Or like Mike, do Nurgle where you want it to look like crap.
The more you do, the more you fuck with it. Sometimes mistakes make it look better. So,
yeah.
So we talked about the somewhat of a hobby aspect of it. It is still a hobby game. I mean, I would think though, like obviously Adepticon didn't happen this year. Everyone knows that. Was there going to be a Legion tournament there?
Yeah, there was a Worlds, which is their main thing, level tournament.
Yeah.
Was it painted required?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Because it's.
But Adepticon's even moving away from that a little bit.
Well, because these are the people. I hate to because you guys play this and you're miniature gamers, but a lot of people who play these games aren't going to paint. They come from the board game world. It's already to them. It's already badass having little men that have cool weapons. That's already like a barrier for some people. There's people that go from board games with chits and counters to that. Like, I do miniatures now. Like, you can paint them. I can't do that, even though they don't realize how easy it can be to really paint if you just.
And I think because I watched a couple of the main podcasts and video vlogs for this, and a lot of them migrated from X-Wing. And this is the first time they've done it. And you can tell some of them are brand new to painting, but they feel like they have to do it, to be in the tournaments because that was a requirement in a lot of them. And you can tell they're starting to like it a little bit, Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's almost there's people that are very anti-Games Workshop. And I'm talking about board game people that won't even want to play a GW board game because it has their name on it because they have their own preconceived. Yep. This is like I'm getting into it. Like I see that I can play a game with a billion models, a bunch of dice, a bunch of models. It's a 3-hour game and I build stuff. I paint it a little bit. I didn't do it. And it's like a gateway battle game because it's an IP they know already and it's a company that they also are probably familiar. I bet you that Legion is probably not the first Fantasy Flight game that a lot of those players play.
No, yeah.
There's so many games. They have if you look at those little catalogs that come in every box, and it's like.
Well, and they're known for just their component quality is always top line, and
it's like they got like the Cthulhu games. They got they didn't know not Game of Thrones, but they had they did. They had the Game of Thrones card game. That's right, because they got Game of Thrones, and I think Cool Mini did Ice of Fire. So like they're just used to I don't know, a welcoming kind of vibe. And when you got an IP, and a company, it's easy to slide in and get into. I'm now playing in miniatures.
Well, and you see it with what was the miniature game that came out before this? They did that bombed and they gave it away for free at Adepticon.
Rune Wars.
Rune Wars, yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Somebody online told me that take like 1 part X-Wing, 1 part Imperial Assault, 1 part Rune Wars, and that's Legion.
I could see it.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if Rune Wars failed, they still got R&D out of it. They still got mechanics out of it. I bet you there's a lot of similarities.
Well, I mean, let's think about it from like you said earlier. Descent became, people still play Descent. I'm not trying to shit on it.
Wasted.
It's the same game. Why waste it? Why waste the mechanics like you said? So.
Well, even the mechanic of X-Wing where you don't know what you're doing, you're still randomly drawing a unit. So when you play an order card, like I have basically you both play a unit card and they have an initiative out. And whoever has lower initiative gets to go first, it'll say you can do 2 units. So you put your order tokens on 2 units. The rest are randomized. So you can choose to activate one that's got a token on it already, or we'll grab from the pool. So it's still got the random. You don't know who's going to activate. Like, God, I hope my stormtroopers activate because they can aim and shoot. Oh shit, it's the other one.
Obviously, you're trying to mitigate the risk of having something happen you don't want to happen.
Yep.
So
like, these guys have to activate first and they can't do shit. Oh well. So there's a lot of randomness to it too.
All right. What else you guys got on this one? I think we covered the gameplay, the buy-in, the hobby aspect, the competitive aspect, the replayability. We kind of hit on all the key points. Anything else you think we're missing?
There was an interesting mechanic that, because you know how it's an unwritten rule in most war games, you can't re-roll a re-roll. In this game, you can re-roll a re-roll. So
as many times as you want?
If many times, if you have 4 re-rolls.
Something that lets you do it, yeah.
Yeah. If you have, you get 4 re-rolls and you roll 4 dice and 3 of them hit, and one of them missed, you can re-roll that one.
That's surprising.
Well, and here's something Brian might like. The game's deadly. So your attack rolls are D8s. Your defense rolls are D6s. They're either red or white. Red have more defensive pips. White have less. Stuff dies quick in this game because there's way more hits than there are defenses in this game. So just by the odds, people are going to go down. So that's one of the things I like too. Like,
well, and also just in a Star Wars universe, no one's really armored like crazy.
Yeah, the only ones that actually wear armor are stormtroopers, and in this game, the stormtroopers are better at defending than a regular robot.
Well, as we all know, I mean, everything except the movies, stormtroopers seem badass.
Yes. Yeah, they're elite in everything but the movies.
I don't know why. Even in comics and shit, they're good. So I guess we just got a bad crop of them. I don't know. But, so what else on this game? You think we're ready to move on to the ratings?
Yep.
Okay. So let's quickly recap. Only Biron and Valdrick have played. They have both only played skirmish mode, right?
Yes.
Yep.
You guys have never gone all the way, if you will.
We've only gone to third base.
Okay. All right. So third base is further than I've got.
Mm-hmm.
I've only gone on the internet and looked. Xtreme and myself have never played this, but I think we got a lot of our questions answered. I've seen the rulebook. By the way, Fantasy Flight, another great thing they do, just throwing it out there, they put the rulebook online for free. So I asked Biron, hey, do you got a PDF? Thinking like, you got to know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. Like, well, I got this one. It was scanned in. It's a little off, but he sends me a link to the main website. I'm like, first I was like, dick. Like, but I'm like, no, that's literally what the rulebook is. Right. It's like when someone sends you, what's that thing you send where let me Google it for you?
Let me Google that for you.
It literally is a little video to show you how much of an idiot you are. So I saw that. I'm like, oh, the whole rulebook is online. They do that for almost all their games. I know Imperial Assault as well. That's just really cool. So you could watch videos on gameplay. You can read the actual rule book all for free. See if you want to try it out for yourself. I think that's kind of cool. It's a very low barrier of entry. $80, I think you said, for the box set. Split it.
And you always want to at least get the starter because you need to get the widgets and the dice.
You and a friend get 2 starters, swap the models. You got double armies right off the bat. You got all the widgets. You got all the dice. You're good to go for a while. Sounds pretty cool and very reminiscent of when I jumped into the Ice and Fire from Cool Minion because it's a board game way of getting into a miniatures game. So it's kind of cool, and we'll probably hit that game at some point too. But I like it. More competition for Games Workshop and other miniature games are good. And board game companies that do miniatures, it's kind of like, why do they only allow miniatures companies to make board games? Like, miniature companies make board games and they make board games. Well, a board game company that has miniatures could also make battle games too. So I love it. I think it's great that all these IPs are getting a way to play. There's so many different things, movies and comics people are into, and to see them translate to the tabletop is only a good thing. I love that. So going with that, as usual, we will start with the people who have played the game because their vote matters more than other people's. But in the grand scheme of things we'll see how it all adds up to be. Halves are permitted.
Yes.
Halves are permitted. I'm throwing that out there now because it's always a circle jerk when we get to this part. Go on. You're on.
I'm going 4.5. It loses half a point because Star Wars is now garbage.
Yet you're going to buy a First Order army.
I have a fetish for stormtroopers.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, it's any game that gets me hooked enough to paint my full army is going to get high marks regardless. And the fact that even after playing quite a bit, and then we have this kind of shutdown where we can't play at all, and I'm still chomping at the bit to play and asking Grognard Games, my local game store, when they're going to get the new units in, and I'm still excited to that level. Like I said, it would have been a 5, but Star Wars is trash.
And then you said, cool, you're going to get them in then? I'll order it online the day before. Thanks for the
info. 10% off.
I love that you used your usual humor defense mechanism to say why you dropped it, but 4.5 is still insanely good of a score.
It's the high score I've given, yeah. And I'm also pumped for Riot Quest still, but I just haven't played enough like I have of Star Wars. So.
4.5 is your highest rating to date.
Yes.
Wow. Another first. Xtreme is a stats man, like an ass man, Billy Gunn. He loves that kind. He loves to hear like firsts and how many. Like when they tell you that Kane threw out 12 guys in the Royal Rumble, he loves that shit.
Well, he's a baseball guy. Baseball guys love stats.
Yep. Sabermetrics. Valdrick, what is your score?
I got a 4.
Okay. Xtreme, would you like to go next?
Sure. So, like this guy, I'm also going to do it first, but I want to justify it. I really like the license. I like the buy-in price to get into an army.
I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
I like that things die quickly, and I like the game length. But there are some really big things I don't like. I don't like the small selection of armies. So there's not enough choice there. And then the bigger thing is
it because there's no elves?
No, that's not it. Then once I do have an army, there's only one real way to paint it. Like, sure, you can have pink stormtroopers or something, but really you're painting it one way. And for a mass battle game, painting it where you don't have any creativity involved sounds like a chore to me.
That's why you play Rebels. Trust me, the Rebel, they're dressed kind of in the...
they're dressed like terrorists. They wear whatever they want.
Yeah. You can paint the Rebels whatever color you want.
Did you see the picture I sent of the Wookiee of color?
Listen,
Yeah.
you cannot, Valdrick, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but like you're right now, you're the guy that stands outside the place of polling, like exactly how many feet away. Don't go in there and kill babies. Like what? No, this is a school. What the fuck are you talking about? So you're trying to skew his vote. I appreciate that, but I want Xtreme to know.
Putting a counterpoint.
It's actually too late to skew my vote because I already wrote it down on my little note card here. 2.5.
Oh, I knew it. I knew this fucker was going to go in the lower half. I knew it. Talk about a first.
That's average, though, when you think about it. 2.5, it's right average, right?
Yeah.
It's an F in a score, but 50%.
Three's average because you can't pick 0.
Can't we? You still have the Blood Bowl episode to go.
No, am I wrong here, Mike? As a man of science, 3 is average because 1 is the lowest.
Who says 1's the lowest?
We determined at the beginning of this whole thing that 0 is not an option.
But now we do halves. So could you go half?
That's a good point.
Yeah, 0.5.
Do you really want to do that or no?
Sure.
Okay. 0.5 is so if 0.5 is the lowest, well now 2.75?
Yeah.
You fucks.
Ryan says Star Wars Legion is a below average game.
No, I have a below average interest in it. I'm not saying it's a below average game.
I really want to give it a 3, but I'm going to give it a 3.5 because it's Star Wars. They're going to get a 0.5 automatically because I like the universe, which, it's going to make me like a game more if I already like the shit that happens in that universe. Nothing about this game as a battle game has impressed me, and that's why I was going to go 3. Because I'll be honest, when we get to 40K, it's going to be higher than a 3, and probably maybe 3.5 or higher because I like the style of that game. I know a lot of people don't. People shit on it, whatever, but there's a reason why I played it for 20 plus years. This game, there's nothing that impressed me yet about how good the gameplay is. But I am a sucker for battle games, and I'm a sucker for Star Wars, so I would not mind playing this game. I'm going to go 3.5.
Tough but fair.
What's that?
Tough but fair.
Tough but fair. I think so. I can't give it a 4. I try not to give games I haven't played a 4 because, 4 is a really good score. Yes. How do I say I've never played? We can read rule books forever, but at a certain point, I gave Rumble Slam a 4 before I played it, by the way. Now we're a few episodes past that, or at least 2 past that, I think. And I love it. It's a fantastic game. I'm so glad I gave it a 4 because I would have been like, let's change it. Can't change it. We have our.
Well, it was hilarious because I was talking to Ryan when we first got into Rumble Slam about how you specifically had beef with it.
Yeah.
When we were talking about it, and we're like, JP would really like this game. Like when we played it a few times, like JP would love this game.
Well, do you remember? I mean, so I'm not like and subscribe. You can find the previous episode on Rumble Slam, but I talk about why I didn't give it a chance. I was already jaded. One from the Kickstarter, one from being jealous that these fuckers did it and I didn't. Two, why do you have to do fantasy? Why can't you just do a wrestling game? I had all these preconceived things. Put it all aside. I believe I told Xtreme to unfuck himself. He did. He looks like, I don't want to judge a book, but he looks still relatively unfucked, which is kind of cool.
And like Brian's score for Legion, I'd agree with that. I think he would like it at the score he gave it. Knowing what I know about Brian and what games he likes, I could see him saying this game's fine.
I'm going to say, 2.5 is not bad for an Xtreme score because, and you might disagree with me.
One, because he's a grumpy bitch.
I don't think Xtreme likes battle. I don't think Xtreme likes battle games. I don't think you like a game with a lot of models. Am I wrong on that?
That's fair. I mean, I liked Kings of War, but Kings of War plays a lot more like a skirmish game.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, if you multi-base, and I mean, theoretically, you know, when people are, how many drops you got? I got 6 models if you really want to say it because there's 6 bases.
Yeah.
I like the visual aspect of a big battle game, but I don't actually like the big battle
I'm
game.
with you in that aspect of I like the idea of a big battle game better than I like the execution of a big battle game.
I like the idea of a cool gaming group, but trying to make one is like not bother.
It just have to happen organically. I don't think you can decide.
So honestly, it's kind of funny. Like I think Xtreme has, you know, because we both didn't play, so we have things that go into our score. You guys have things going to your score who have played, but I mean, it's getting bonus points for me because it's Star Wars and a battle game. Could you imagine if it wasn't? If this was a skirmish game of some IP I didn't care about, and the way you described it, no offense, Biron, but you said how you felt about it, and it just didn't really like grab me where I have to play this game. So far, my intuition's been right. But again, I only played a demo, haven't really played it. Not against it, but would have really been cool to use my Imperial Assault models, by the way, because I got every one. But anyway, so that is episode 8. No, 10. Fuck.
11?
No.
8.5.
8.5.
Hold on. No. Let's 7 came out. Right, it's good. 7 already came out a long time ago, and that covered Zlurpcast favorites. 8 came out was Rumble Slam. 9 came out and was Who Would We Be? Fantasy Casting. This is 10.
10, yes.
Wow.
Someone needs to number these episodes. And in our little, like, we're going to, like, much like you're in a game club, you don't know if you're in the inn.
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 to 5 minutes before this episode, depending on when I got my ass to the computer, that occurred as well that no one got to see. It's not even Zlurp Nation, I'm sorry, but it just happened. In that time, one of these people should have said, is this 10?
I'm not the accountant. I'm the editor or something.
I'm going to throw this out there to Valdrick Mike. Are you open to being the counter?
Your one job.
Like, I'm not trying to dumb it down. I'm not trying to say, like, Walmart greeter, you got one job. Kid ripping up tickets at the theater, like, you got one. But the counter.
I should know. I should be the one that knows because I have the folders on my computer.
I was going to say, yeah.
But if Mike just says, this is 10, what about, I don't know anything else. All that I know is this is 10.
We go to his rating and he go, it's 10. No, it's a 1 to 5 rating. 10.
10. 10 for everything. I knew the last one was 9. The next one's 11. I know this is 10. So this is episode 10. If you liked what you saw, you made it through the whole episode, I think you like us. You really like us, which means you should probably check out the other 9. Or if you're watching this and it's kind of old, watch 11, try 12, 13, maybe 14. Try them all. And don't forget to Zlurp on that sub button. Do it with your foot if you feel so inclined. I love that. Sign up to Zlurp Nation as well. A lot of emails we send out talking to you about inside stuff no one's seen, stuff no one's heard. I found some old pictures on an old hard drive today. Not porn, but from old gaming tournaments. I'm going to throw some of those out in this Zlurp Nation email at some point. So definitely do that. Zlurpcast.net. You can get a shirt like, well, none of us have it on today. We have other nerd apparel. But you guys,
I have anime on. It's anime.
Look at that. Get a Zlurpcast shirt, because when you go to Zlurpcast.net, It might say V-neck or slim. Click that and know that they have big boy sizes as well in there. We've got stickers, we've got mugs, we've got socks, leggings. By the way, I didn't tell you guys. Did you know there's Zlurpcast face masks now?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
The N95?
No, they're N93.
Oh, shit.
They're N05.
What's the worst? It's made out of basically like the inside of Biron's swimsuit. So like they got the fake underwear inside. That's kind of what they're made out of. So anyway, Zlurpcast mask as well. Check it out. Zlurpcast.net. We'll talk to you next time. Bye. Bye.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by Nuffles. Bet you can't just roll a one.